Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of In the Know with Andrew Pappas and Noelle Hughes. Today, we are going to talk about your why, which could arguably be the most important thing that you need to figure out in this business. Because by and large, we've talked about this a lot, that this is a simple business, but it is tough. And you're going to have weeks and days and months where you're just getting like cream. As Dan McCrae would say, you're going to get spanked some of these weeks, and you're going to be questioning yourself, like, why in the heck am I even doing this? And if your why is not big enough to overcome those crappy days, weeks, and months, you're going to quit. You're going to quit really quick. Now, there's a ton of different reasons, and your why is going to be personal to you and your own circumstance, your own situation, your family, whatever. But typically it falls in, three different categories. Typically it's freedom of time, freedom of money, and wanting to be your own boss. Typically any why is going to fall into one of those three categories. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Your why is personal. But, having a deep understanding, maybe even writing it down and having a visual is a really important part of our business, to have that visual reminder of why you started this in the first place. Because 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, you're going to be questioning that. So you need to have something to look at to see why you did this. Andrew, why do you think it's important to know your why ahead of time before an agent gets into this industry or this business?
Well, I mean, it's, what you're fighting for then, right? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I exposing myself to all of this rejection? Because that's what you're doing when you're 1099. When you're self-employed, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, you are exposing yourself to more rejection than anything else. When you show up to a regular job, you know what you're supposed to do. You do your thing, people leave you alone, and you're good. And so we need to know, and there's, like you said, like, there's a lot of different reasons that it can be. I know when I got started, it was me needing to make extra money. But very quickly that why changed, because very quickly I made the extra money I needed to make, right? And so we need to be always sitting back and checking ourselves too, like, has our why been accomplished? But I think some of that why will never really be accomplished, meaning I always want to create a better life for my family. Well, maybe it's better than it was 3 months ago, but I can always be doing better. So you have your long-term goals, your long-term whys, but what's your short-term? And that should be ever changing. I think when you see agents that gets, it's like an agent that has a need, that new agent, like, they have the most, I'm saying it wrong, using my, like, they have the greatest chance of success, I feel, because their need is like staring them right in their face. Like, they're being chased by their debts, they're being chased by their problems, and this might be the answer to that. And so, like, it's staring them right in their eyeballs, like, hey, this is why you need to make this work. But what happens in 6 months or a year when you've solved that problem? You're not struggling on your bills anymore. You're making more money than you've ever made before. And you're no longer in that position. Well, what's going to keep driving you forward? And so you always need to sit back and know what your goals are, know what your why is. Because when you know what you're fighting for, you're going to go through the struggles. You're going to take the hits and just keep on going. You're not going to let that phase you. But when you don't know what you're fighting for, it's like, how many times have you heard an agent say, like, man, I feel like I was just on my knees praying yesterday, and then I saw your job ad, and then we talked, and everything you were saying is exactly what I was looking for. And, like, God answered your prayers, right? And now that same God that answered your prayers 30 days later said, nope, that's not for you anymore. Like, come on now. Like, no, like, it, I mean, but that's what some agents think, right? But it's because they don't know why they're doing this. They maybe they're excited about the change, or they're excited about the opportunity, but they haven't really had a chance to sit back and why are you exposing yourself to this? Because nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes to be told no. Nobody does. I don't care who you are. But eventually we just get used to it and we get numb to it, right? And so when you understand that why, you will go through fire to get what you want. But when you don't, anything will be, well, that's just, I had 2 no-shows today. That's a sign from God saying I just shouldn't be doing this anymore. That client, I closed it, and then, they got a phone call the next day saying they changed their mind. That's just God saying I just, I need to do something else. Like, no, it's not. I promise you it's not. When you look at some of the biggest producers in our company, they're hearing no more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But they're also getting yes more. And
Yep.
so you need to understand your why, but you also, say you've been here for 6 months, a year, 2 years, your why has to change and evolve. And if you haven't sat down and figure that out, because you will start to get complacent. You will start to hit plateaus and you won't be doing things to overcome anymore.
So like you said, it's evolved, but my personal why is freedom of time and being my own boss. I've got 5 kids. I've got a husband. I hated when he left for work. I had major anxiety when he was gone. And so I've retired him. He's my house husband. He doesn't like me calling him that, but he's my house husband. He takes care of my 5 kids.
He found himself a sugar mama.
No, he calls himself a domestic engineer.
There you go.
So, but I have full access to him at any given time if I need him. If I'm having a panic attack, he can be there at the drop of a hat because I make enough money to where he doesn't have to work. And I work less days than he ever did, so I have more time with my kids. And I think like one of my favorite things is if I'm having a bad day, I don't have to schedule as many appointments. I don't have to work as much. I can, work really heavy days on the days where I feel great. And then the days where I don't have to. And I don't have to ask anybody for permission to not do it because I'm my own stinking boss. Like that's my why personally. And the short-term whys change over time, like Andrew said, but personally that's mine. And I think you've got to be really, really careful to not adopt somebody else's why. Okay, you're going to see tons of Equus agents and you're going to see tons of people in the industry sharing their why. And it's really easy to kind of get caught up in that and think, well, that's my why too. That's my mission. That's my mission statement. You've got to be careful because that will only last so long before you fizzle out. It's got to be in your heart why you are like personally doing this and make sure you protect that. What's your why, Andrew?
It was, it's changed definitely. I remember when I first got started, that's another topic because I think we can talk 5 or 10 minutes on that. But it was needing extra money. Very quickly, I realized how much money I could make doing this. I mean, people do this for different reasons. For me, it was money. I needed more money. I wasn't cutting it at the job that I had. And it changed very quickly I started to realize the things that I could get out of this. Like, as a grown adult, you have to ask for permission to take time off of work. Like that just, the more I've thought about it, it just blows my mind that you have to do that. And never could I could never go back to that again. Like asking, am I allowed to have this time off? Right. And even if it's like, I remember hearing a story one time of a buddy that was like, hey, I need in 11 months, I need a Friday off. And the company was like, I don't know if we can do that. It's like, dude, it's in 11 months.
Oh, no.
And he's like, I don't know if you understand this or not. I'm asking, but I'm not. Right. So either you jump on board with it or you don't, and maybe you fire me. I don't know, but I'm taking that Friday off. And it just blew my mind. It's like in 11 months, one day, your company might be so crippled that you can't handle that. So you can't just give them and so, yeah, like you said, like being my own boss, everyone wants to do that. I honestly believe many people, they need that structure of, like you show up at 9, you're done at 5, you take lunch at noon, and there isn't much deviation from that schedule. And sometimes you have overtime. You know, for people, they just like to know that doesn't change. For me and you, I mean, our schedules change all the time. Sometimes we're working till 10, 11 o'clock midnight. Sometimes we start really early. Some days we don't work at all. Some days we work 8, 12, 15 hours. I mean, it changes, but we can control that, you know, for the most part. But, you know, it's that's why I got started, was I needed more money, and it wasn't cutting it where I was at.
Yeah.
And looking at a part-time job making minimum wage, I mean, I would have had to pick up 2 full-time jobs. And then being able to just start this part-time, you know, it was literally almost 5 years to the date on when I started now. And I was just starting out working like 10 hours a week. And it got me everything I needed from a part-time basis. And real quickly, I started just to run the numbers in my head, like, why am I spending so much time over there? And, you know, it didn't take long before I jumped over, but that was how I got started, and was I needed more money, and it got me that. And so it was good, right? Because I needed more money. So I was willing to go through any, like, I remember getting on and doing like 8 hours of dials on like old like leads that came in a year, 2 years, 4 years ago. And it's like, man, you had to sit down for like 8 or 10 hours to get like 3 appointments. And I remember that, but I was willing to go through that because I knew what I was fighting for.
And it got better.
It did.
Now your why's changed. Now you're making a whole lot more money than you were 5 years ago. So, you know, well, you guys, you know, you just got to know your why. It's got to be ingrained inside of you. You got to know, like you said, what you're fighting for every day in order for this to work out. So we challenge you to go out there, do some self-reflection, and really figure out why you're doing this. Write it down. And if you have that, then you'll have longevity in this business. So thanks everybody for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. Let us know if there's any topics you want us to cover in the future.